One of the tool parameters that's very powerful but tends to confound a lot of new Modo users is something called action centers, right up here. And simply put, action centers are simply the position in 3D space where a specific tool will center its function. Let me explain. So to demonstrate, let me first hit the F6 key, and that's going to bring up my preset browsers, and I'll go over to where the meshes are, and I'll just double click on this flashlight, and we'll put that right in our scene. There we go. So if I want to move this object around, I'll hit the move tool up here, and you can see right away there is a little gizmo in the scene that allows me to grab hold of an arrow or one of these discs here, as you can see, to move the object around. So by default, that little gizmo falls right in between what we would call the bounding box or the volume of the object. So let me quickly just click somewhere else in the screen, and look what happens. Oh, that action center wants to follow wherever I click. And so with the move tool, it's not such a big deal. But if I wanted to rotate this object, and I click over here, I'm rotating on a center axis that's way outside of the field of where I want to rotate. Okay, so same with the scaling tool. By default, it scales up wherever it finds a center, and it can be problematic if you don't know how to control it. And it seems at first it's just very random. But let's look at what we can do to fix this. So I'm just going to hit the Z key and undo all that. Hit the escape to get out of the tool. And I'm going to go over to Action Centers, and I'm going to set that to selection. So if I hit the Move tool, that's going to stay on my selection no matter where I click in the viewport. That's going to stay centered on that object. Now, because I have nothing selected in the viewport, everything is selected. So if I go to, I'll hit the Escape key, I'll hover over a couple of polygons there, hit the L to select that loop, and again, let's go to the, let's do the Scale tool. And I'll make sure my Action Center is set to selection, and it's going to allow me to scale it there. No matter where I click in the viewport, that Action Center is going to stay right there. Okay, so that's cool. And it's very, very powerful. And there are other action center types here that you can utilize. So for example, let's do the rotation, and I'm going to deselect that group of polygons there. And I'm going to set the scale here. And let's go over to Action Center. Let's set a, let's do it in an element. What that means is any element that I can click on now will become the center of where that scaling is going to take place. So if I select here, the scale will take place from that center point. If I click over on this point here, then that scaling is going to take place from that point. So you can see that the action centers are quite powerful, and they are very, very controllable if you set anything other than automatic. So we'll experiment with others as we go forward with the lessons, but probably the two action centers that you'll use the most are selection and, of course, the element